Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Well, everybody has to do exercise, but there's all kinds of exercise. We just had someone on with yoga. We have people who are going to the gym. But how about water exercise? We know that that's really the best, and so many people don't know how to do it. Your bathtubs aren't large enough. You have to go to a pool, but you need a real expert, and I found one. And her name is Kat Kahn, and she's the founder of Studio Sweat on Demand. That's a great name, Kat.
Oh, thank you so much, Anita. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So this is really excellent. And I was looking at your website and the cute names that you have, the noodle, use your noodle and tuck jump and running in place and leg lifts and all. So tell us, who is the right person for you to work with in the pool?
Anybody that'll get in with you, honestly. I think a lot of people think that they have to go to classes that are held, but that's not the case. You can go just with friends. You can go anytime you like. You can go by yourself. It's just such a great way to get some good low impact strength in. And as we age, we tend to lose bone density, like it or not. And the other great thing about the pool exercises beyond the resistance training that you're doing is that you're getting outside and you're getting fresh air and you're getting vitamin D. And there's just a lot of fun things that you can do when you're in the pool.
So where do you live in California?
I live in sunny San Diego, so you just head straight west from where you are, and you'll get to where I am. So
right, I love San Diego, so it's a great place, and of course you can use a pool. And here in sunny Florida, we all have pools, and there's always a pool available. So you're a perfect person for me to talk with because although I can swim and I do some exercise, I always put off going into the pool. I don't know why. Maybe it's because my hair's going to get wet or something's happening. But I need you to encourage me today, so help me.
Well, put on a hat, first
of
all. Make sure you've got your sunscreen on, and it's going to be fantastic. And the pool exercises are great, but I get it. I think it's just getting in the exercise, whether it's in the pool or the land, on land is the most important thing, and it's different. No pun intended, but it's different strokes for different folks. And you don't have to get your hair wet, Anita. They make all those cool clips nowadays that you can just put your hair up with, and it's such a great low impact way to get it done, though. And strength training and the cardio is important as well, but there's a lot of things that you can do just with friends. Even if you just stand and you're standing with your elbows on the side of the pool and you're just doing leg lifts. I looked out at my daughter and her friend the other day, and this is no joke. I'm not making this up. So I have a 15-year-old, and she and her friend had their feet on the outside of the pool, and they were lying on the inside of the pool on their backs, and they were just doing little crunches in the pool. And these are 15-year-olds.
Whoa.
And then they decided to test the waters a little bit. I don't know where all these puns are coming from. They decided to test the water a little bit, and they just kept dipping their bodies lower and lower into the pool with their feet up on the sides, and it was the cutest darn thing that I've ever seen. And they were exercising in the water, just the two of them. And that's something you can do, Anita. You don't have to go to class, but those classes are really fun. I feel like I'm at a party every time I go to one of those in the pool classes, and they're a great way to get cardio and strength in, which is the best of both worlds.
Yes, it is. And I was thinking, though, that how many people here in South Florida do have hip and knee operations, and they do need a lot of water. Now, we all know that when you're in the water, there's no weight. It seems like, your body's floating.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, but as you're moving through the water, there's a force that has to be created, and you're using your own body weight for the most part to do that. So it's amazing what you can do with your own body, and it may feel like, but it's all perceived exertion, and it's great. If it feels easier and it still is getting it done, then that's fantastic, right?
Right, and so do you have private lessons, or do you do groups where, you're like the cheerleader?
No, that's great. Here's the thing. So the company that I own is called Studio Sweat on Demand, and we are strong advocates for exercise any way that you can get it. And what we offer is we offer virtual exercises and virtual workouts. most people can't take, our workouts can be taken using your phone or your tablet. Or on TVs, but you can't take those inside of a pool. So we have exercise routines that will show people that are more written, but the virtual exercises that you can take on your phone and tablet and TV, those are going to be workouts that are for land. And those are great too. Probably my favorite is spinning. So if you don't want to get wet, then and you can get yourself a bike or just a set of weights or something like that. The roadblock that, I always have to get to the gym is taken away because you can take any of those exercises or those workouts wherever you are. So I don't know if I just strayed there. What was your original question?
No. That was very good. But I want to go now and find out. As a matter of fact, I remember years ago we had a columnist who wrote. She did aquatic columns because she was a physical therapist that believed that everybody should be in the pool, especially if you need recovery. A lot of people that have had hips and knees that go right away to these rehab centers, and it's hard and it hurts. She says, no, come to my pool and I'm going to do the same thing and you're going to love it. Yeah.
So the thing about the pool is it's low impact. And I think that when you're in a rehab center, you're really, really focused on what you're doing. And like you were saying, there's tons of joint injuries. And when you're in a pool, if you're swimming or if you're doing any sort of exercises or water aerobics, it's going to be low impact and it's going to feel very gentle on your joints. So that's probably why she was such an advocate for that. Plus, it gets you outside. Part of the time it gets you outside if it's an outdoor pool, and that's always good for you too. I mean, it's those, believe it or not, the dairy industry is always talking about, drink more dairy and eat more dairy. Which is great for some people, but if you think about the countries that have lower osteoporosis rates, that they're countries where people are getting in the water more, they are outdoors more. They're actually not. They have lower dairy consumption than we do.
Yeah, that's true.
So I always find that interesting. Yeah.
Well, you have some very cute titles. So what's a tuck jump?
A tuck jump in a pool is not in the air.
No, in the pool.
I want you to know, I'm not suggesting those for people to just jump. But basically, what you're doing is you're standing in a pool. The water can be anywhere from the waist up, and you just want to draw your knees into your chest. So you're just going to jump, drawing those knees up as high as you can, and then your feet will just kind of naturally go back down. So that's that resisting force that I was talking about. So as you're trying to lift those knees up to come off the pool floor, you're strengthening most people think, I'm just strengthening my legs by doing that, but your core actually has to do a lot of work when you're doing that specific move. And if you can get your core strong, you're going to be a lot more stable, and balance is something that you should always be fighting to keep or earn.
That's true. And core is so important. I just started taking Pilates because I've been worried about my core. I really do need to do something. So is the tuck jump?
Pilates is great, yeah.
Tuck jump is the thing I should be doing in the pool. I'm going to start going in the pool now because I talked to you. What do you think of that?
It's a great one. And like with the tuck jump, what I was saying is you don't even have to go in, too deep. You don't have to go up to your shoulders or over your head. You can do a good tuck jump in the pool just with water that comes up to your waist.
I see.
But don't stop doing Pilates. That's really good for you, too.
Is it?
Another thing I like to do in the pool is stretch. So the thing I like about Pilates and on Studio Sweat On Demand, that is one. Spinning is my favorite. Pilates might be my second favorite. But the cool thing with pool exercises and Pilates is, it's low impact. I know we keep talking about that. Both are strength training. Both have a focus on the core, which is fantastic. And with Pilates, too, there's a lot of lengthening and spine rehabilitation and basically resetting things back up, how they should be lined up in the first place. And a lot of those exercises that you can do in the pool do that as well.
So how did you get to be such an expert? What did they throw you in a pool when you were a little kid?
My dad was very much a sink or swim type parent. The funny thing is I grew up in the Seattle area, and there's not a lot of swimming up there, to be honest, just because the water's always coming out of the sky.
Right. And it's cold.
And it's cold. And so I didn't learn how to swim. I knew how to swim. I could stay alive. But I didn't learn how to swim until I moved to San Diego. In that, you know, when I say learn how to swim, I mean do the freestyle stroke and I kind of just taught myself because a bunch of friends down here were like, "Hey, let's go do triathlon." I was like, "What?"
Right.
Like, right. And you mean swim in the water? Like,
in rough water. Right.
Yes, exactly. So that was one of the. But I always embrace challenges. As a matter of fact, one of my biggest fears when I was younger, I actually had a fear of being around older people.
Really? Why? Why was that?
You know, that's a good question, Anita. I think it had to do with my parents taking me into a rehabilitation center, and it was very scary for me when I was little.
Yeah.
And then, so when I bought my first gym, one of the things that I decided to do right away was get my senior fitness certification, because I wanted to get over that fear. And what I found amazing was what I had been missing out on all these years, because the people that I was now training and around all the time were probably my favorite people in the entire world. I love stories. I love just being with them. I love their positive attitudes. And that's when I started learning, you know, all these different things that you could do as you age to keep yourself in good shape. And I started doing a bunch of research on how exercise is really the only thing that really, really is proven to fight disease and keep you strong and healthy. And then there's the whole mental aspect of it as well that keeps you positive, you know.
Well, this is good. It's so appropriate that I have you on the show today. I mean, we have all sorts of people. It's eclectic. Because I do have mostly, we target seniors and baby boomers, and of course a lot of our advertisers are in that with those products and services. But I just happened to see your website, and I thought, well, this sounds interesting. I'd like to do it, and personally, I really need a push anyway. So this was
you should go check it out.
I'm going to.
The pool exercises are great, but when you don't feel like getting out and you want to do, you know, just a short 20-minute workout from the comfort of your own home, you know, the other thing we do is we try to limit the equipment that you need so that you can keep it going on at home. So generally we just suggest, set a light weights. For those that have room, you can have a bike. You know, a lot of planned communities, I'm sure in the Florida area as well, have little fitness centers that you can go in.
They do.
Yeah, and so you can just take your phone, you can log on to studiosweat.com, and you can take a little spin workout. And we do, one of the things, too, that we really focus on is not just the general population, but the older populations as well. We have a lot of classes that people can take virtually that are, we say, active older adults. And so, yeah, your seniors, it is what it is. But that's what we want to encourage is being active. And so that's why we call it that. But lots of different routines that you can do wherever you are, in the water or on land.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing that you've done. And isn't it true that there's some, we have so many communities down here, very upscale, fancy place. And most of the time, twice a week, they have someone that works with them, and they do, I forget what they call themselves. They're, they're in the spa or in the pool, and it's a whole fun thing they do for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I tell you, every time I see those and I participate in them, it reminds me of my first trip to Mexico, where we all jumped in the water, and that was the most popular planned activity that they had was the pool aerobics. Yeah. And it's just so much fun. It's so much fun. It feels like a party every time you're in there.
And, well, now, you don't have to really have good strokes to be able to swim. I mean, I love to swim with a backstroke, and I could do that for a long time. And I mean, that's certainly exercising, but there are people that do what they call the crawl, the American crawl. You don't have to be able to do that, do you, to get a lot of benefit?
Goodness, no. I mean, you can stand, lean against the wall, and just lift your legs one at a time, and you're getting the benefit of it. I mean, and those classes, your feet are on the ground most of the time, and they're just doing things like torso twists and fun punches, and everybody's together, and it's about the camaraderie as much as it is the exercise. So super fun. You don't have to have any special skills to do a pool workout.
Well, I grew up in Miami Beach, and we used to have not Esther Williams herself, but a lot of those things where that's what the entertainment was. They'd have the beautiful women go into the pool, and they would form these gorgeous, routines. So,
yeah. Yeah, it looked like they were synchronized swimmers,
yeah,
right? Well,
synchronized.
you might not look like that, but you'll be having a lot more fun. So.
Right. And do you have, this is a crazy question to ask you, but what's the kind of a bathing suit? I mean, could you have shorts and a shirt, or what should you wear, really?
Well, that's a good question, too. First thing I always suggest is that people wear visors or hats, because you got to keep in mind when that sun hits, especially if you're talking about outdoors or indoors?
Outdoors.
Anita,
Outdoors.
Outdoors, yeah. So I always start from the head and work my way down. But so always make sure that you are wearing either a hat or a visor. Keep in mind that the sun is going to just be glaring right off that water, so make sure you wear sunscreen. And you know what? Anything that you're comfortable in that can get wet, it doesn't even have to be a swimsuit. Like when I was looking out at my daughters the other day, they were actually wearing their Cool Fit workout shirts in the pool. So, I mean, whatever you're comfortable in, that you can get wet. That's what you should wear. But, and of course, if it dries quickly, whatever, if you're comfortable in a bikini, get out there and get in that pool in your bikini. But just keep in mind there's a lot of sun damage that you could be prone to if you don't cover your shoulders and your chest, those areas that are more prone to get sun cancer or to get cancer. So you got to be careful of that as well.
Right, and you can really do it early in the morning. Like I publish this magazine, so for me, it's better to get out there before a lot of people are around and before the sun is so strong too.
Yes, that's a really good point.
And I'll tell you something that you're going to love. I go to a veterinary clinic where they have a pool for dogs that are suffering from leg problems, and you should see these dogs swimming.
That's so amazing. Yeah, my dog actually has elbow dysplasia, so that would be really cool for her.
Oh yes. See, now my dog's back legs are just not functioning well, but I haven't had them in that. I guess maybe I should be doing that. Well,
I'm telling you, my vet told me, can you get her in the water? And I said, I wish I could, but I actually adopted my dog. She was a puppy during Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah.
She was a rescue from Hurricane Sandy, and she won't go near the water because
of course.
she was so terrified as a pup. But that's the number one thing that the vet told me that we could do to help her with her joint issues was get her in the water.
So I was thinking, cool. Now I haven't done that with him. I suppose I should do it. I don't know why he's not. Maybe he thinks she's too far gone and she doesn't have the musculature. But I would think, wouldn't it? Well, maybe you're not the proper person to ask this, but I would think she could develop her muscles if she.
That's what my vet said, which is
really?
that's what I can tell you. That
really?
It really helps strengthen the muscles that are around their joints when they get in the water. Yeah. And even if they're not fully swimming and they're even just walking through the water, it's the same idea we were just talking about. So.
Yeah, I do think now that I've talked to you, maybe I'm going to do that because he's a perfect dog, except that he can't walk. I have to carry him everywhere, and I have like a little wheelchair thing that you've seen them. But if he could just walk, oh my goodness, wouldn't that be wonderful?
Game changer. I don't know if you just saw the story about the, I can't remember her name, but she turned 100 years old today.
No.
It was her birthday. She's basically one of the biggest cheerleaders for some huge college, and she was just saying by her 101st birthday, she's got a goal to be back walking again.
Really?
And the first thing I thought was, okay, so she's got to do some strength training exercises and maybe get in the pool.
Right.
And, maybe next thing, she's actually super famous. I'm sure some of your listeners know exactly who I'm talking about. She's like one of these the college basketball team's biggest fans, and she's at every game.
Oh, I have to look her up. I'll have to look that up. So what would I put in, 101-year-old...
Well, she's 100 today. She
100.
turned 100 today.
Okay.
So you just look up, probably biggest fan, 100 years old or something like that, and it was on Good Morning America.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
well, that's, of course, I've written a book, you don't know this, called Live to be 100 Plus. I wrote that in 1992.
Hey, that's awesome.
And
That's
I think
crazy.
I have
That's
some
super
stuff.
cool.
Of course, I have exercise, and I probably have something in there about swimming, too. But,
Probably.
yeah, so let's just move back now. So people are listening to the show, and you've gotten them all excited. So what's the first thing they should do? They should go down to their pool, of course, and what do you want them to do?
And get in the water.
What should they do in the water?
Honestly, I think there's just a couple of tools, and I know it seems silly, but if you bring a noodle with you, you can get a ton of exercise in and just have some fun with your friends at the same time. And if I were going and I were going to do this on my own, I would probably, everybody knows how to Google, right?
Yeah.
So I would Google some of the best exercises. We have an article, the one that you were just looking at on Studio Sweat On Demand,
Okay.
for example, that has some of the best pool exercises that you can do. And you don't need to get in. I mean, I feel like with exercise, there's this misconception that you need to plan on hopping in and spending a full hour in there. You don't. You can get in and you can spend 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever time you have, just moving in the water. Even if it's just walking back and forth in the water, that is still strength training. And so as long as you understand that you don't need to spend a full hour, just walk down to the pool, make sure you've got your hat on, your appropriate gear, step into the water, get there at a time that works for you, and spend 15 minutes. And then maybe the next time you spend 20 minutes and 30, and, see if you can get some friends to join you too, because everything's more fun with a friend.
Okay, so let me. I want to give you a little PR here. So how are they? Tell me what your website is again.
StudioSweat.com is my website.
Wait, you got to do it slower. Wait a minute. What is it?
I'm sorry. I tend to talk very quickly.
That's okay. Well, go ahead. Yeah, Studio
StudioSweatOnDemand.com.
StudiosWetOnDemand.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have apps available as well. So
Okay.
either, if they have a smart device that they'd like to download the app on, they can do that, and they can see some of those exercises that I was just speaking to you
Right.
about in the pool, or they can take some of our other on-land exercise, our workouts as well. So, and
Right.
it's just it's an affordable gym membership, basically, that you can take anywhere you go.
Okay, and you have the noodle. I see that. So people ought to go buy a noodle because I do know that I see people with noodles. Of course, I see kids, but the noodle just gives people balance. Even you can swim. It's still nice, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's great. And you can do things with it, like even like squeeze it between your knees to get some strength training on the inner thighs and hips and knees. So another thing that you'll commonly see is a kickboard. Like so people have just a kickboard in their hand and they'll be kind of traversing back and forth. Just provides, like you were saying, do I have to be a strong swimmer to do any of these pool workouts or exercises? And the answer is no. But if you do want to use a kickboard, that's a good way to just keep your confidence up in when you are in over your head.
Okay, so you do kickboard. Okay, so that's a good thing. And everyone remember, of course, down here, you can get in early in the morning or you can go in later on the afternoon when the sun isn't so strong. But if you want to be with your friends, do make sure that you put in on a lot of, I don't know what number you should be using. I have one friend that's always getting cancer removed, and she's up to 100. And she doesn't actually go in the daytime. She doesn't do anything in the daytime out in the sun.
Or you can just wear, one of those Cool Wick swim gear tops that covers your entire upper body for the most part. So those are pretty nice too. So yeah, and then also check out those classes that you were talking about. You were saying at the planned communities, the local YMCA's. We're partners. Studio Sweat On Demand is a partner with the YMCA's. And I know that they have those great pool workouts that you were talking about there, and at other nonprofits and community centers, and that way you're with a big group of people and you're all having fun in the water together. So
yeah,
and then the other cool thing about that is they're scheduled, and I tell people with their workouts all the time, you got to schedule them just like you would a doctor's appointment, and you got to make that time for you. And if you don't schedule it, you're way less likely to do it. So.
That's a good point. Yeah, so you do this. Yeah, that's very smart.
8 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Okay, well, that's when I'm going to go then.
Kat, that's really good because most people, I think I would say, well, I can do something else. I'll come back to it. But you're right. If you don't set it, you're going to forget it.
Yep, exactly.
And how much are you in the pool today? I mean, how much pool work do you do personally?
I admittedly do most of my workouts on the land, but I have a pool and we live in San Diego, so we're always at the beach. One of my favorite exercises is actually just running into the water waist high and then running back out as fast as I can. So that's a fun, because it's a lot harder than it looks to do something like that. And, worst case scenario, if you do happen to fall down generally in the water, it's not going to hurt. So and that's one of my favorites. But, yeah, I'm in the water quite a bit.
And I remember when we had a home on the ocean here, and we just would go into the ocean a lot and do snorkeling. And we would go sometimes like a mile. You forget where you are.
Yeah.
I don't do that now. See, so I've really lost a lot of that, and I think my body shows it. So I think you've been a great inspiration to us and to me, and I thank you so much for coming on in such a fast way. So everybody go to Studios Wet on Demand. Right?
Yeah, Studio Sweat, like as in you sweat because it's hot outside. Studio Sweat on Demand.
Right, Studio Sweat on Demand.
Yep.
.com.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you,
cool.
Cam. It's just been wonderful. Kat, not Cam, Kat. I really thank you so much for taking your time, and I think you will have made a difference, and you just don't know it.
I sure have, ANITA. Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Thanks.